Docs, did you know that there's 12 stages of burnout and you might already be experiencing number 13? Oh, burnout doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in and it steals your energy, your passion, and your joy. And in this video, I'm going to share the 3 powerful steps to escape burnout trap, reclaim your energy, and the life you love again. And step 3, well, you better shout me out when it changes your life. And yes, you're welcome. I'm Dr. Simone Ellis, and I built a multiple $1-million practices in Houston, Texas, and retired at the age of 40. And now I help doctors escape burnout and create lives of freedom and balance. I've been there, and I'm here to show you a way out. By the end of this video, you're going to have 3 clear strategies to stop burnout in its tracks, prioritize yourself, as well as rediscover what you love about your career. And I mean, since you're already burned out, let me drop this info on you to light you back up again. The first step in escaping burnout is recognizing where you are. And burnout doesn't just happen overnight, it develops in stages. So let me go through the 12 stages so you can identify where you're at, and let's take the first steps towards recovery. The first one is the compulsion to prove yourself. This is where it starts. You feel like you got to prove your worth and you're often taking on too much. The next one is working harder. You begin to overwork, thinking your more effort will solve the problem. Right after that is neglecting your needs. So you start skipping meals, ignoring sleep, and cutting back to go to those things where you enjoy to stay productive. Does any of this sound familiar? Next up is displacement of conflict. You avoid addressing the problems, which only makes them grow. Followed by a revision of your values. You start prioritizing work over relationships and hobbies and self-care. As we move up the ladder, we go to denial. You tell yourself, I'm fine, even though the stress is mounting. And this is when irritability and cynicism begin to show. Then it's withdrawal. You start to pull away from family and friends and activities that once brought you joy. People then notice the next level, which is behavioral changes. And this is where noticeable changes happen. You become short-tempered, you're detached, and you even have some reckless behaviors. And then we have depersonalization. You feel disconnected, like you're just going through the motion, like almost like a zombie feeling. Followed by inner emptiness. You start to feel hollow, often trying to fill voids with unhealthy habits, overeating, and even sometimes overdrinking. Then we move into depression. And at this stage, life just feels meaningless and hopelessness can take over. And the final stage is the burnout syndrome, where you have emotional and physical collapse. This is where intervention is critical. The truth is as doctors, we are taught to push through almost all of these levels. And burnout doesn't just hit you all at once. It like sneaks up on you layer by layer until you completely feel overwhelmed. And for me, I didn't even realize how far I had gone into this process until I couldn't process my thoughts clearly anymore. My body was actually breaking out into hives. I was exhausted, not just physically, but the idea of life itself was just exhausting. And I remember feeling like I was operating an autopilot for so long that I didn't even know what it felt like to have joy about being a hard worker. I mean, I still love the satisfaction of putting effort in, but the levels I was pushing to, like, they were just unrealistic. And I didn't want to admit it, that I was at a real breaking point. And I imagine it had a real impact on the people that I cared about, even though they didn't want to say it outright. I felt hollow, like there was a lot of inner emptiness and I couldn't feel it no matter how much I accomplished. Like I would get more awards, I still felt empty. And I was trying to cope with it in little ways, but it just became harder because I kept pushing myself beyond limits. And for so long, I didn't even know what balance looked like anymore. And that's when I knew something had to change and I couldn't keep living like that. Not for my family, not for my patients, and I definitely didn't feel like living like that for myself. Now that you've heard all the stages, where do you think you are? I want you to take a moment to reflect and don't be afraid to acknowledge how you're feeling, because it really is the first step to recovery. And once you've identified that, you can move into step 2, which is protecting your energy with white space. So burnout often happens because we're packing our schedules so tight that there's no room to breathe. And so here's a strategy you might not have considered. Schedule some white space in. And this means intentionally blocking out time on your calendar where you do absolutely nothing. No patients, no emails, no meetings. And why this is powerful is this white space isn't about wasting time. It's about creativity and clarity, and it allows you to thrive in this space. It really does give your brain a chance to process instead of reacting to constant demands. So I know this can be hard for high performers. So here's how you would implement this. You would start off with just 30 minutes a week. And I want you to think about this as using time to reflect, or don't even reflect, don't do anything. And you might be surprised how much this small habit can recharge you and even spark new ideas for tackling challenges. I remember the first time I blocked off white space on my calendar, and I really didn't even know what to do with it. So I think I decided to go to the movies by myself. That was something I had never done before. And honestly, y'all, I really struggled at the movie theater. I struggled with the idea of relaxing. Like, I was sitting there and at the movie theater, and I was judging the people at the movie theater. I was like, who goes to the movies in the middle of the day? And like, don't y'all got something to do? And then it like hit me. There is something beautiful in not having anything to do. Those people were taking time for themselves. And I realized like I needed to stop and seeing that as a problem and start seeing it as rest. And rest is not always something that we think about because you feel unproductive, but actually it was okay. And that one small moment completely changed my perspective. Step 3 is going to be to reignite your passions with micro-sabbaticals. And so when you feel burnt out, it is easy to lose sight of what you love. And that's where the micro-sabbaticals come in. These are going to be short, intentional breaks. Just one weekend every quarter. If you feel uncomfortable, start there with completely disconnecting from work, just to focus on yourself. This isn't about having an extravagant vacation. It is about giving yourself the space to recharge and reconnect. So I mean, no emails, no phone calls. You just have to bring in whatever brings you joy and peace. And those things are distractions. So how you start that is pick a weekend right now, pull out your calendar and mark it on the calendar and make it a non-negotiable. Do not let anything steal it from you. And I want you to spend time doing something that recharges you. Like studies show being outside, like hiking, is great for you. Reading leisurely and spending time with loved ones, or even just resting. So I remember for myself, I had a fight with one of my exes about taking time off. I had just opened my practice and he kept asking me to take a break. And I felt like he was being so inconsiderate to even suggest that, because didn't he see how much I was juggling? And so I labeled him like a 9-to-5er, and I was like just dismissing about how unfair he felt and how ridiculous that sounded to me. Yeah, I was ready to fight and destroy my relationship because I refused to take time off that I desperately needed and that he needed from me too. And, so looking back, I can see how burnout really warped my perspective, and it allowed myself to step away, and even briefly, I could have been a better partner and a better person. And so this is why I'm telling you that micro-sabbaticals are so important, because they're not just for you, but they really are also for the people that care about you too. If you are ready to break free from the burnout and take back your time and control, I want you to visit my website at drsimonellis.com and check out my upcoming webinars to sign up for our newsletter. You're going to find practical tools and actionable insights and exclusive content to help build your life that you truly love. And the link is in the description below. Do not wait to make this change. Doctors, burnout does not have to define your story. By identifying the stage of burnout that you might be in, protecting your energy, and rediscovering your purpose, you can take back control and create a life you love. You've helped so many others, and now it's time for you to help yourself. For more tips on how to reclaim your energy and build a balanced life, check out my next video, How to Plan Your Exit Strategy for 2025. And do not forget to hit the subscribe and like button so that you never miss strategies that will transform your future. I'll see you there.